Hello everybody and welcome to the channel's first ever model kit review. In today's video, we are in fact going to be taking a look at the all-new Flame Toys model kit, Transformers Windblade. Now I picked mine up over at Shozy Store, so for that of course, I shall pack a link down in the description box below, and I've actually been really excited to get this piece. I've always found the Windblade design to be super awesome, and it's actually been quite some time since I've put a model kit together. I think the last time I actually touched one of these was way back in 2014 or 2015, when I did in fact assemble the DMK Age of Extinction Optimus Prime. So quite a lot of time has passed, but to be honest, I found the entire experience to be rather enjoyable. However, you are definitely going to need a spare 4 to 6 hours in order to put this figure together. Now we'll very quickly take a look here at the packaging. You can see a really cool image there of Windblade inspired by her Flame Toys design, actually looking fantastic. And then as we just flip here to the back of the box, you can see we have a whole host of images showcasing her in her robot mode. She does in fact actually have 50 movable joints, which is going to be really awesome for getting her into some of those dynamic poses, and this is surprisingly an officially licensed item by Hasbro. Now this figure does not transform, it merely is just the robot mode. However, personally that's something that has never bothered me at all, especially considering that this is a model kit. So all that being said, let's actually get Windblade out here and see how awesome she's actually turned out. And here we have the Flame Toys model kit, Transformers Windblade, fully assembled and actually looking really awesome. Now as mentioned in the opening segment, this is roughly 4 to 6 hours worth of work, and is she worth it? I would say absolutely, especially where articulation and engineering is concerned. The build quality too is actually really impressive, but trust me guys when I say the posability is next level. Now before we delve in and take a look at the details etc, a few things worth mentioning is that at the end of the day this is still a model kit, so the plastic is not as durable as the likes of a Hasbro or perhaps even third-party offerings, so definitely take your time when assembling the kit and just generally posing her about, as there are quite a few delicate components on her such as the fingers, these sections here at the head. You can see that sadly when I was assembling her I did ever so slightly damage this component, and I would also be cautious of some of these sharper details that we've got going on here for the back. But other than that, she's actually built really nicely, and up until this point I haven't found luckily any pieces to pop off, despite the instructions actually advising you to glue certain components on. Now you can see that in regards to detailing it actually looks really cool. You can see the sculpt work to the face is very impressive. I love how sharp that's turned out. You can see an almost very anime-esque looking face design. I really love the red tattooing that we've got going on there for the faceplate itself, and you can see a really nice mixture of gold and grey as well as blue plastic, and we've got these wicked almost metallic green eyes implemented into the figure. You'd actually be really surprised at how much internal working actually goes on when you're assembling this kit. It really is pretty mind-blowing. You can see here for the torso we've got a really cool breastplate with some electric blue highlights around the edges. This does come pre-painted, so you don't in fact actually have to paint this up yourself. There are a few additional stickers of which you can apply if you so desire, but personally I didn't want to put myself through that torture. But you can see here for the torso region, I love all of these different segmented panels. The shoulder pads look wicked, as so does the gauntlet armor. You can see we've got these sections flaring off, and the actual finger sculpt too looks really impressive. I love the sculpt work that we've got going on for the fingers and thumbs. And of course, as we take a look down to the lower section, we've got incredibly thick thighs, and let's not forget this massive, really cool looking mechanical butt. This has got multiple layers going on, so we've got these layers here, this layer here, and of course these massive hip joints, all of which actually create for a very nice looking shape. And then as we just spin our attention down to the lower section, you can once again see some very nice looking sculpt work. The same can also be said here for the shins, and the foot design I actually thought was really impressive. It does appear as if though she's wearing high heels, and once again you really won't be able to appreciate how much engineering has actually gone into this piece until you do in fact actually assemble it for yourselves. There are so many different tiny components that are actually packed into this, and as we spin our attention here to the back, this honestly is just as detailed, if not anything more detailed than the front. So we've got there the actual propellers of the wings, we've got the cockpit there which has been cast out of a very nice transparent blue. The same can also be said here for these turbines, and a really nice mix there of darker grey as well as red. Overall in terms of the design, I think she looks absolutely fantastic. Now turning to my personal favourite thing about this figure has got to be posability. The head has got so many joints, so we can in fact actually hinge it all the way up, so there's a ball joint here at the base of the neck, and of course where the head is concerned, so we can get her looking up that far as well as looking down that far. We can tilt side to side. Once again, be cautious of some of these tiny little sharp edges that we've got here. You definitely don't want want to apply too much force to those, but you definitely can get a really nice range there out of that head itself. As we take a look here at the back, the wings can hinge up and down, as well as hinge forwards and backwards, and these sections here are also on their own individual hinges. Now, at least here on my copy, this wing does have a tendency to pop out, so after the review I may in fact actually try and find a way to either tighten that up or glue it into place, but that is definitely just something worth noting. But you can see this side is completely fixed into place, which is awesome. As we take a look here at the front, we do get butterfly joints. I'll just set this here off to the side, which can go forwards and backwards. I do believe you can hinge the shoulders all the way out to the side, full rotation where the bicep is concerned, as well as a single joint here for the elbow, but it does allow for a fantastic range. You can see that's almost a double joint there out of a single joint. And then as we take a look here at the hands, these can rotate the full 360, as well as hinge back and forth, and we also do get an additional hinge joint here, which can go in and out. Now, in regards to the torso, there is literally so many joints. Once again, it is a model kit, so perhaps I'll have to glue that into place after the review, but if I just set that here off to the side for now, the torso range of motion is actually really impressive. Now, you can extend it just like so, which allows her to crunch forwards that far, as well as back to that far. You can also see we've got a ball joint packed in there, which is really cool. She can also tilt side to side. Of course, you can compress all this. So overall, that's a really nice range. And then as we take a look here at the legs, these can kick forwards that far, which once again is fantastic, as well as I would say roughly back to about that far. These butt flaps can hinge out of the way, but I'm not going to push any pressure in case I pop them off, but they can also hinge out to the side, so she can definitely do the split. We do get a rotation at the thigh, as well as a fantastic double joint here at the knee. Honestly, that is so nicely done. And in regards to the articulation here of the foot, this can pivot forwards and backwards, as well as rock side to side, and we do in fact actually get a toe joint there, which in my opinion truly is the icing on the cake. Now, I'll very quickly just go off camera and pop some of those pieces that came off during the articulation segment. So I'm back after just very quickly reattaching some of those components. So I did have to glue the bicep armor into place, as well as this tiny little piece here for the face, but sadly have been unable to secure the wing. I'm not too sure whether or not I'm doing something wrong, or maybe just not applying too much force to this joint. I just really don't want to risk breaking it, as we are dealing with quite a few different hinge joints. So I'm hoping that either I'm doing something wrong, or that it is just an isolated QC issue here on my copy. If you do own one of these, please let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below, but it's not too bad just as long as I don't bump into it. But the review must go on. So in regards to accessories, we do in fact actually see a pair of alternate hands. So in order to pop these off, you simply do just want to take the hand here and pop that off the ball joint, which will then allow us to bring in these almost gripping hands. So these reattach just as easy as they come off, and you can see once again some pretty nice scot work going on. And then we do get two awesome looking swords. So you can see we've got this really cool transparent purple plastic for the blade, as well as red there for the handle, and these can be slid into the figure's hand, although I will be honest and say that when you are inserting them, once again, just take caution here of the handle. It doesn't feel as if though it's brittle, but considering it is model kit plastic, I would definitely just take a little bit of time maneuvering that into the hand. But you can see she's going to look really cool with both of those. Sadly, no form of display stand included. I would have loved to have gotten maybe a flight stand, so you really could have maximized some of the articulation joints that we've got going on for this figure, but I'm almost certain I've got one laying around here in the review station. But come on, I'm sure a display base wouldn't have cost them that much to have included. But overall, definitely a really cool looking figure. The build quality for the most part appears to be pretty sturdy, besides a few panels of which popped off during the review, and of course this back section. And overall, I'm just such a huge fan of how the design has turned out. So here for some size comparisons. To be honest, I wasn't too sure as to who to compare her with, so I brought out two of probably the most popular Voyager figures out right now, that being the Siege Optimus Prime as well as Megatron. So you can see that in terms of height, she is roughly a Voyager class by today's standards, so pretty decently scaled, but of course a lot more narrower, a lot more streamlined when in comparison to these guys. And as mentioned previously, this figure does not transform, so there's no jet alternate mode. And so, that was my review for the Flame Toys model kit Transformers Windblade. Overall, this was actually a really fun pickup. In regards to actually assembling the kit, whilst it could be rather tedious at certain points due to some of the pieces being incredibly small, overall I think the process was worth it. The end result is really awesome, and it took me roughly 4 to 6 hours to put together. So if you have a weekend spare or a couple of hours to yourself every night or so, I definitely think that it would be quite fun to actually put this particular piece together. I think in regards to the robot mode, the design of WINDBLADE herself has always been something that personally I've really liked the look of, and I think this particular Flame Toys model kit really does nail that look. In regards to the actual functionality of some of the joints, I think she's really posable. Now granted, considering she's a model kit, you do have to take a little bit of caution when getting her into perhaps some of those more dynamic poses, as you don't want parts popping off, etc. There are indeed a few notes in the instructions suggesting that maybe you should glue certain components on, and I personally would definitely recommend doing that after you've assembled the kit, as you don't want to glue something that perhaps when you actually get down to articulating the figure hinders it in the long run. So I would recommend assembling the kit, and then after you've posed around with her and you've seen what has a tendency to pop off, etc., then perhaps actually think about gluing certain components on. Accessory wise, I think she comes with a decent amount. We get an interchangeable pair of hands as well as 2 blades, which are cool. I personally would have loved to have seen the inclusion of a display base. I really think that would have been the icing on the cake, but as it stands, it's not a massive deal breaker, and in all, I think it's a really cool looking figure. The plastic for the most part actually appears to be pretty sturdy despite it being a model kit, and as mentioned previously, I do think the overall design as well as functionality to the joints are really impressive. So with all that being said, I'd love to hear your thoughts on both the model kit and the review down in the comment section below. Would you guys like me to take a look at any future model kits over on the channel? And if you are after adding this to your collection, she is currently available and in stock right now over at Shozy Store. I thank you guys all so much for watching, and until my next video, I'll see you then. Thanks for watching.